Welcome to the House Therapy, the podcast that helps you to create a home that you love to live in. I'm Nina Dwaron, owner and lead designer at ISO Design and Interiors. And each week, we're going to explore practical ways to help bring more beauty, function, and flow into your space. From design and staging to organizing, downsizing, and everything in between. If you want a home that truly supports your life and your family, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Hello and welcome back to the House Therapy Podcast. I'm your host, Nina. A few weeks ago, I shared the top design trends for 2026. And if you missed it, I'll put the link for that episode in the show notes below. Today, however, we are going to be discussing some home staging trends for 2026. Now, staging and design are entirely different, but is oftenly mistaken to be the same. So in this episode is for anyone thinking about selling their home in the next 6 months, and it's also for realtors who want staging tips that sells. And I am excited to share a few staging trends that are on the rise in 2026, and of course some practical tips that you can use immediately when you are staging your own home or when you are preparing for a listing to sell. So before we jump in though, if you like this episode, please don't forget to comment and let me know what resonates with you the most. Of course, give us a thumbs up and please share this episode with anyone who you think can use the information that I'm about to share. And so let's get into it. Now, trends are useful, but remember, they are never hard and fast rules. These trends tell us what buyers are responding to now, what feels fresh and inviting, and what potentially could feel a little bit dated and distracting. But hey, simply following trends isn't going to be what sells homes, all right? What matters most is how you showcase the functionality and flow of the staging that is going to help buyers to emotionally connect to your home. So with each trend that we are going to talk about today, please keep in mind that these all have practical staging purposes, and it's not just for an aesthetic appeal, okay? So trend number one is calm neutrals and little bits of pops of color. Now, I wouldn't call this an upcoming trend per se, as it's always been my objective when staging a home. For me, it remains as a staple, but it is now showing up as a trend because it's becoming one for design purposes. So this is where it merged. Media is now saying that 2026 is all about neutral bases with little pops of color. So what this means though is that we are moving away from those all flat whites or stale beiges to something that's warmer neutral, because buyers respond well to those calmer backgrounds. This means you can paint your walls a neutral color, but then you can add depth and interest with accents such as cushions or throw or a piece of artwork in a bolder color, but still grounding. So when staging a home to sell, always choose one accent color per room and then repeat it in 3 different places. Like I mentioned, the cushion, the artwork, or in a decorative object so that it kind of ties everything in. It's much more cost effective to add pops of color through accessories than to paint an entire room, all right? Now, trend number 2 are new neutral materials over cool and sterile finishes. 2026 staging trends is embracing materials that feel warm and authentic. So things like chromed and mirrored furnitures are really on its way out. Now, it was used a lot because of its reflective nature and the ability to add light and airiness to a room. But today, it's better to bring in things like wood grains, linen, wool, matted textures, and natural stone, okay? Because with so much going on in the world today, buyers are really connecting homes that feel more warmth and tactile and comes across more approachable. So avoid things like synthetic throws and opt for natural materials like linen, wool rugs, which can really soften a space and make it feel more welcoming. Now, trend number 3 are organic shapes. What does that mean? This too also follows the 2026 design trends where really sharp linear edges are giving way to more gentle curves, okay? So things like curved sofas and rounded coffee tables and arch mirrors gives off more of a relaxed and welcoming energy. This helps buyers to feel welcome and makes the space feel softer and more approachable. So if you have a sofa with sharp edges, consider adding like a curved ottoman maybe a rounded coffee table or a rounded base lamp to balance those sharp lines in your existing furniture, all right? Trend number 4, layered lighting. So lighting is no longer just about overhead fixture, okay? Well, in my mind, it should never have been so. I don't think that lighting was, overhead lighting only was ever a trend because it's not enough light. More likely, I think that people just didn't know better in general, so they just used what they had. Layered lighting is about combining lamps, sconces, accent lighting, and this is really huge in 2026. And it does bear repeating that better lighting means better photos and better first impressions for buyers, okay? Especially this time of year. In rooms where natural light is limited, make sure you add a table lamp, especially in living rooms and bedside tables in bedrooms, all right? To me, I think it's ridiculous that some new homes and condos don't even include overhead lighting today. That's crazy. If you are buying a home, this upgrade is worth the investment. Do it. Even if your home doesn't have an overhead lighting source, add one. Better yet, add recessed lighting if your budget allows for even more even lighting in a room, all right? Don't worry about if you don't have to do this. Electricians know how to do it. Let's let them figure it out. Now, lastly on this lighting topic, opt for warmer tones, okay, than cooler lighting colors. I always recommend things like a 3000K versus a 4000 or 5000. I find 2700K is too warm, so 3000K is just perfect. Trend number 5 is decluttering. Minimalism is evolving, yes, even in stage homes, but here's the thing, buyers don't want empty houses, especially vacant houses, because there's no character. There's no warmth, there's nothing that you can connect to or it's inviting. So in 2026, you need to focus on homes that feel more lived in, but not cluttered and welcoming. So what this means is that when you are preparing to sell, declutter at least 50% of the decorative accessories and bulky furnishings that you have in your home, just enough to show the home's functionality and flow. And do this by removing, those small group knickknacks and collections, the tchotchkes that from your travels, gifts that people have given you over time, but are not really needed or ever used and sitting there collecting dust. So instead, keep larger, meaningful items that add interest, but not, take away and distract from the home, all right? Trend number 6 is about flexible and multifunctional rooms. Now, while design trends is leaning more toward, multifunctional rooms because people are working more from home, and buyers really are looking for that kind of flexibility. Even so, I still recommend that you keep primary spaces as it is intended to be, okay? So this means leaving living rooms and dining rooms as they are. Don't stage these rooms with a desk so that it can also function as a home office. By doing this, it can really clutter up a room and make it feel confusing to buyers. So instead, stage a spare room as an office or a workout room. If the room is large enough, You can still have a full-size bed or even a day bed with a desk and a chair to show the room's versatility. Today's staging needs to reflect how people live now. So think about how you can help buyers see all the possibilities of the home without adding confusion to a space. All right. Trend number 7 is eclectic. What does that mean? I think the word for 2026 is authenticity. And in 26, the trend is a mix of heritage and modern, but not in a cluttered way at all. But instead, it's really about curated design. So in order to achieve, you can achieve this beautifully in an occupied homes because, it's easy to add some of those heirloom pieces and decor. But keep in mind though, that less is always more when it comes to staging. So here's the tip. Just add one major heirloom piece to a room, like an antique chair, an antique framed art. So, it will help to make the room feel more accessible and more lived in and more welcoming. Trend number 8 is about adding statement architectural. So things like wallpaper accents, murals, or architectural details like a curved wall. If you have some of these features in your home, you are back in the trend because it did go out of trend, but now it's back. So today's buyer wants like interesting focal points, okay, in a home, and not just another boring white wall. Adding details like an accent wall adds, gives the photo more depth and interest, and it makes it more memorable. So if you already have wainscoting as a treatment, all you might have to do is just freshen it up with a coat of paint, and that's all you have to do. But consider wallpapering like for a powder room, or create board and batten in a living room or a family room, all right? You don't need a full renovation by any means, but just a few touches of intentional designs can really help your home to stand out from this very crowded real estate market, all right? Trend number 9 is all about soft window treatments. Now, heavy drapery is fading fast. They've been fading for a number of years now, but especially you remember those swags? Simplicity is what we're looking for in 26. So buyers want windows that let natural light in. And so when it comes to staging, bright and light-filled spaces makes the home feel more spacious, all right? So when it comes to staging to sell, use sheer or light linen panels instead, as it helps to make the space feel airy and bright, all right? Don't use tie backs, please, as it too is dated looking. Just let the panels hang straight to frame the windows, all right? Trend number 10 is all about earthy textures and natural fibers. So, it's all about bringing in those natural materials that gives off the sense of peace and calm in a space, all right? So consider adding, things like soft goods and accessories with natural fibers to create that feeling throughout your home, all right? So in an accent cushion or a rug. These natural materials can help to ground the space and make the room feel lived in and warmer. But if you don't have a rug, get one. Not only will it make a room feel warmer, it can also help to anchor and define a space. I love rugs. But make sure you get the right size, okay? And we'll talk about this topic further in another episode, as it does warrant its own segment. Think about adding natural fibers like a basket to a room and then fill it with accent cushions and a nice throw, all right? What do you think? If you like what you're hearing or are learning something from this episode, don't forget to comment, okay? Like and share, and of course, subscribe. It'll go a long way to help us grow the show and help more people who are stuck when it comes to their homes. All right, I would really appreciate it. Now let's talk about home staging trends that are on their way out. These looks are what buyers are no longer resonating with. And if they don't resonate or connect, what it means that they're going to be out the door, and we don't want them to do that, do we? So out empty spaces. Empty spaces feels cold, unfinished, and unwelcoming. Buyers want warmth, and they want it to be able to picture themselves living in the home, all right? So when you sell a vacant home, it's much more difficult, which is why, savvy realtors always include staging in their marketing strategy, because they want potential buyers to connect with the home, all right? Virtual staging may help potential buyers online when they are searching, but will fail to help buyers to connect when they take that next step to book the in-person visit. Now, the other one that's out is everything white, because pure white lacks personality, and buyers, as I mentioned earlier, is looking for warmth and connection. And it just, white just says, don't touch and just look. And that's not what buyers want to do. They want to be able to connect with the energy of the home. And if it feels out of touch, then it probably likely is. Another trend that's out is overstyle, like dining room table settings or beds with trays with coffees set. Those have been out for ages, but I still do see them today. And all they do is clutter up a space and without much style. Instead, just keep it simple with a beautifully made bed and a nice centerpiece to the dining table. Staging is not about overcomplicating things, all right? Remember, buyers are looking to buy the home, not the stuff in it. So staging should always be about less is more. So how can you use these trends for your own staging projects? Great staging is about balancing trends with timeless designs. Always think and put function first, all right? Buyers want a home that will functionally work for their lifestyle, right? Are each rooms purposeful? Do they make sense? Are there enough storage? That's always very important. So think about flow also. How do you want buyers to walk through your home so that it makes sense? Is the flow confusing? Is your home a maze that they cannot get through? And, always remember that staging is about helping buyers to emotionally connect to the home. So what we want is for buyers to walk in and say, I could see myself here. Or imagine the kid saying, this is my room. That's exciting, all right? So use trends in places that matter, such as key spaces like living rooms, kitchens, family rooms, and the master suite, okay, or primary suite. Keep these updates timeless and possible. If you're on a budget, use textiles, lighting, and furniture placement to make the big impact without that heavy, high price tag, all right? So as my final thoughts, 2026 is less about trends for trend's sake, all right? And it's more about creating space that feels authentic, real, warm, and inviting. If you've enjoyed this episode, I would love it if you, again, follow the show, like this episode, comment, and of course, please subscribe, all right? And share it with someone who could use this information if they're planning to sell soon. And if you ever need staging help or have a space that you want to talk about on the podcast, reply to this episode and let me know, all right? Thank you again for listening ever so much. And remember, when you take care of your home, it'll take care of you. I'll see you again in the next episode. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to the House Therapy Podcast. If today's episode inspired you, be sure to follow the show and share it with someone who would love it too. For more tips, resources, or to work with me directly, visit isodesign.ca. Until next time, remember, with a little effort, every home can be beautiful and every space can be functional. And remember, you deserve it.